Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sully Squad. Got a lot going on tonight. We got NFL free agent tampering, so all kinds of Eagles rumors and NFL rumors going on. We just had the NHL trade deadline last week. Flyers making some good moves. Kind of sticking to the rebuild, and but also giving themselves a chance to compete this year. We got a little Philly spring training to get into, so we're going to get into all that. But I got my usual cast here, and we have special guest Bill Meltzer, NHL and Flyers writer. How you doing, Bill? Hello?
I think we lost audio for a second.
Oh, no problem. How are you? You there?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay.
It's okay.
But yeah, obviously, a lot of people are, today's a big football day, but the Flyers are extremely relevant right now, and just wanted to get some Flyers talk here, and get your perspective on the big moves they made at the trade deadline.
Well, I think that Danny Briere went in saying that they're going to keep the main focus on the big picture. In the short term, the Flyers definitely traded a defenseman who was a valuable piece this season in Sean Walker. I think you even saw a little bit in the Tampa Bay game. They miss his ability to trigger the breakout from the defensive zone, get the puck up to the forwards, and attack with speed. That's the thing that Walker really helped bring to the team this year. But by the same token, he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. They were nowhere close to a contract agreement, and he got a first-round pick for him next year. And when you look at the big picture, Flyers had 2 first-round picks last year, 2 first-round picks this year, and 2 first-round picks a year from now. And that's how you rebuild. I mean, you have a high-end pick in 3 straight drafts. As long as you draft and develop well, that's a big chunk of your rebuild right there. So, that's what the focus was. Right now, they're pretty banged up on the blue line. They have multiple guys out, four to be exact. Another one who's kind of playing through an injury. Cam York is playing through an injury. Travis Sanheim missed today's practice, but he's expected to play tomorrow. So it's really, it's really next man up. Everybody has to kind of suck it up and step up this time of year because every game means something. Tomorrow night, the Flyers are going to play San Jose, which is a team that they should beat, but they already lost to once this year. Can't take any team for granted, any team too light. The Flyers shouldn't do that, especially coming out the way they got spanked in Tampa Bay the other night. But Flyers are still in a position where if they take care of their own business, they don't have to worry about any other team. Even if they were to go into tomorrow tied, as long as they take care of their own business, they're in. That's where you want to be this time of year. So now it's really, it's really on the line. Every single game, every single point makes a big difference right now.
Yeah, it looks like these next 8 games are kind of the gauntlet. I mean, you have a matchup, you have 2 with Toronto, you have Boston, but after that, it kind of gets a little easier. So like you said, it's hopefully they get some points in this next little stretch here, and then maybe towards the end they could start making some hay. I just had a question. You're talking about collecting all these assets, and do you? And obviously they're going to use some of those picks, but do I saw a couple rumors online, and you would know better than us how relevant they are. But they were talking to Anaheim about the center that is named the guy that's friends with what's that?
Trevor Zegras, Jamie Drysdale's friend.
Yeah, so I
think that I don't see that happening. I think the price tag on Zegras is so high, A, and B. You talk about guys who are and are not John Tortorella kind of players, and it's never a personal thing; it's a hockey thing. I think Zegras is kind of the opposite of what a John Tortorella player is, or what Tortorella looks for or values out of players. So I don't personally see that one happening. I do think that when the time comes, the Flyers will end up using most or all of those first round picks.
Gotcha.
Now, speaking of John Tortorella, How do you feel about the suspension, and do you think the NHL handled it the right way?
Well, I think there's two pieces to it, right? You look at the game misconduct, and I think that the senior referee overreacted. You had a situation where a rookie referee blew two calls, was clearly in over his head. I mean, he was like so in over his head that if you remember, he actually announced the penalty on a Tampa player. Where's the same number as Ronnie Added? He announced on number 23 on Tampa and was actually 23 on Philadelphia. So he was nervous, in over his head, and Torch is getting on the ref, understandably so, by the way, because both were terrible calls.
Right.
And what happened is you had the senior ref is trying to stand up for his teammate, the same as a guy on the ice would, and so he ran towards and he ejected him from the game. So I thought that was an overreaction. I thought a bench minor might have been sufficient. I don't think he did anything that was worth tossing him out. I don't think anything was said. Really, that's too out of the ordinary. But when you get a game misconduct, you have to leave. Right. And John refused to leave the bench. That's why Torts got the 2-game suspension for just refusing for a pretty long time to leave the bench. That you can't really argue that because he clearly refused to leave the bench. So but by the same token, listen, he bought his team some time to regroup a little bit. It didn't really help in the scoreboard, but the next 30 minutes of the game, by that point the toothpaste is out of the tube, right? So it wasn't going to affect that game. But the Flyers settled in a little bit for about the next 30 minutes of play. So he helped this team, in that sense. And the Flyers could get by 2 games without him. I think as a coach, he kind of did what he had to do. But yeah, I thought that the game misconduct was a little bit of an overreaction, to be honest.
I agree.
With all the trade acquisitions that the Flyers got, which one benefits the most, you think, for us?
Well, I mean, they got a veteran defenseman while they're banged up. That helps them in the short term. The one that kind of intrigues me is the forward they got from Nashville for Wade Allison. Denis Gurianov is a guy who was I think he was 11th overall pick in the draft not that long ago. He had a really good rookie year for the Dallas Stars, regular season and playoffs. He scored I think seven goals or something like that in the 2020 playoffs. Got to the Stanley Cup Finals with the team, and since then he hasn't been able to duplicate his rookie year. He's kind of really struggled quite a bit since then, but it's never been a question of talent. He just hasn't put it all together with any consistency. If there's going to be a guy that they brought in who hopefully, we'll see. This is kind of an audition for him for a new contract. He's a free agent this summer too. But if there's going to be one guy they brought in right now who could help them maybe now and in the future, it'd be Gurianov. He would be that guy.
Yeah, definitely. I got a comment from one of our viewers here. John Michael said it's a fun ride and a bright future, but this season, realistically, how far can this team go in your opinion?
It is a struggle with all the injuries on defense and with the Walker trade. Remember the Flyers' second defense pairing this year, really all year, was Nick Seeler, who's dealing with a foot issue, took a puck off the foot, so he's week to week. You trade Walker, you're without 2 other starters, Drysdale being one, Ristolainen being another. That's a lot of bodies in defense that you don't have available, and 2 other guys that are playing through some stuff. That's tough. To me, it'll be a nice accomplishment to get in the playoffs. When you're in the playoffs, so much of it comes down to goaltending and special teams. The Flyers' PK has been so good this year. The power play has been so bad this year. So in a way, it kind of balances out a little bit. But, I think it's going to come down to what Sam Ursa gives you in goal. He stole that game in Florida last Thursday night. Was not so good in Tampa Bay the other night. They're going to need Urson to steal him some games. They're going to need some healthy bodies back. And they're going to have to scratch out some goals, too, because lately goals have been hard to come by. So I think the odds are against them getting to like a second playoff round. But sometimes when you're in there and there's no pressure on you and all the pressure's on the other side, you're kind of playing loose.
Right.
Stuff happens. Your goalie steals you a couple games. Maybe you win one in overtime. then all of a sudden hey, we're up 3-2 here. We can win this. So, but I think it's an uphill climb, to be honest.
What now that Carter Hart's pretty much out of the league forever? Now that the Flyers are down to Urson and whoever they have in the farm system, what's the outlook of the Flyers goalie situation going forward, past this season? You know,
long term, the Flyers have 3 of the best goalie prospects in hockey.
Okay.
2 Russians and a Canadian.
The Russian's going to come over.
One of the Russians is coming over next season. He's already under contract. The agreement was the Flyers loaned him back to his Russian team this year, with the agreement that he's coming over next year. Kid by the name of Alexei Kolosov. So he'll probably need a year or at least half a year with the Phantoms, but really, really talented, good young goalie. And the other 2 goalies are still junior age, so they're going to be a few years yet. But they both shown one is a Russian, one's a Canadian. They picked one in the 2nd round this past draft and one in the 3rd round. And both are off to great starts through 1 year. If you go on PhiladelphiaFlyers.com today, actually I had an article about the Flyers 2023 draft class, and both guys are in that article. So long term, it looks very promising. But with goalies, especially with goalies, you never know until they're here. And then you see how they develop. But in terms of quality and quantity of prospects in goal, not necessarily the same thing. It's very promising. So even without Carter Hart, I think the Flyers long term will be good in goal. Right for this year though, it's Sam Urson or bust. Urson really has to be that guy and consistently be that guy. And then in a year and a half, 2 years from now, we'll see where Kolosov is at. If there's a competition for the number 1 job, or you have to look elsewhere. I think it's too early to predict that, but the potential is there to have a very good future, even without Hart.
Yeah, here's hoping that the kid is more closer to Sergei Bobrovsky, but they don't get rid of him than like a Maxime Ouellet.
Yeah, that's a great example because Max was I think even the hockey news. He was the number 1 NHL goalie prospect at one point.
Right.
He in the NHL. He made his NHL debut at age 19. Started for Canada in the World Junior Championships, but when he got to the NHL, it just didn't click. And you just don't know. You just don't know. Goalie's the hardest position to predict, and they take the longest to develop usually. But that's a good example of somebody who had all the hype behind him and didn't put it together. And there's such an interesting story with Bobrovsky because the reason why the Flyers got rid of him wasn't because they didn't want him and didn't believe in him. His agent said he's going to go back to Russia. He didn't want to be Ilya Bryzgalov's backup another year.
Right.
So either trade him or he's going to go back to Russia. So the Flyers asked him, well, okay, don't make it public. Don't make it a public trade demand. We'll move him on. I mean, Flyers ended up doing okay in the trade because Steve Mason gave the Flyers a few good years, and he kind of took Mason's place in Columbus. Bob did, but obviously, if he had the crystal ball to know he was going to win 2 Vezina trophies, they never would have signed Bryzgalov in the first place.
I know. Yeah, I'll never forget that Devils series in 2012. I was like, oh my God, man! He just turned out. It's a shame he turned out to be a disaster. But speaking of guys that are kind of somewhat pleasant surprises, how excited are you of the future of Forrester? Because that kid really seems to me he looks like he could be maybe a 30-goal scorer in this league.
I definitely think he can be a 30-goal scorer. To me, the big pleasant surprise with him is how advanced he is as a two-way forward. That was not his reputation coming into the pros. He really worked at it. He's worked at his skating too, because that was the other knock on him. Basically, he was drafted as a guy who was known to be a great shooter, okay defensively, and a below average skater. He's really worked at it. I think Tyson definitely could be a guy who'll get you 30 goals. This year he's up the league leaders in goal scoring by rookies, and I think just the tip of the iceberg there. I think that's been definitely one of the good developments this season with the club.
So the little bit of news I have seen about Matvey Michkov over in Russia has been good. Can you speak a little bit about him and how he's playing over there, and when we can expect him to come and join the Flyers over here?
Well, his season in Russia is over now. His team missed the playoffs this year. He finished 1 point short of setting or of tying the record in the KHL for points by a teenager in that league. And you look at the guys he's up there, ranking among like all-time records at that age. Guys like Ovechkin, guys like Kucherov, guys guys like Kaprizov. The guys who've gone on to be NHL stars. He has that kind of talent, and let's also not forget he missed about 6 weeks or so with pneumonia this year, and so he would have set the record and probably would have been back to full strength sooner too. So all's good in that regard. He's definitely developing as they hoped. He's kind of what they thought he would be. It's hard to say when it'll be over because his contract has, I think, 2 more seasons after this one to run. So contract-wise, he can't come over until, I think, 2026, about 2026. Wow. Now, can you negotiate with the Russian team that has his rights to let him out early? Maybe, hopefully. If you end up having to wait the whole time, I do think he'll be worth it. Right. But it would be great if you get him over sooner. I think they'll try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and based off of that, I mean, because do you think the Flyers are a little ahead of schedule in the rebuild? I mean, because when you look at this team, you see a Tippett, you see a Forrester. I mean, I know that their number one need would probably be a number one centerman. I mean, they probably need a number one centerman, but I mean,
I think they had to figure out center a little bit. I think they have their number 2 center in Frost. They don't have a better playmaking center in the system. He is their best playmaking center. I think people worry so much about his goals. Look at his assists more because he's really much more playmaker than goal scorer. He did have 19 goals last year. Maybe in a good year he can do that again. But really look at him as a playmaker. And he's a good young playmaking center. But he's not a number 1. I think he's a number 2. Couturier, I think, is he started out really well this year. He's kind of hit a wall. He's had the 2 back surgeries. I don't think he's a number 1 center anymore. Although Scott Lawton has been red hot recently, Scott Lawton is not really a number 1 center, and Ryan Poehling he's been a pleasant surprise too. He's a nice bottom 6 center, but he's not a number 1 center. So that is definitely something they need to fill is that number 1 center, and then figure out how you're going to work out your bottom 6. But definitely a top need is a number 1 center, no question.
Yeah, I mean, this like I said, I mean, this is the most I've been excited for the Flyers. I mean, maybe, God, I mean, obviously we had that unexpected run in 2010, but other than maybe 2004 with Primo and Roenick and those guys, and then maybe the Lindros era. I mean, it's been a while.
It has. Yeah, 2010. That's its whole own topic because the Flyers went into that year. Remember, they get Chris Pronger.
Yep.
And they were the Hockey News' pick to win the Stanley Cup, and they needed to win a shootout in the last game of the season just to get into the playoffs. And once they got into the playoffs, then you saw why they were the Hockey News' pick to win the Cup before the year. But once they finally snuck in, that's when they played the way they were capable of playing. But they came so close to missing. So that was close. The year that they beat Pittsburgh in the first round, 2012, and that was a war of a series. Unfortunately, I think they had nothing left by the second round that year because I think that first round against the Penguins took everything out of them. That was a really good team. And then they had the 1 year surprise in 2019-20 with Alain Vigneault as head coach. And, the Flyers were right there. Really, they were red hot at the time the pandemic hit. And then when they started the playoffs, they won 1 series and they fell 1 win short of the conference final. They lost in 7 to the Islanders. So that was, but it's been nothing since then. No playoffs, dropping a little further each successive year. So this has been a nice year. But I think that one thing that Danny Briere has done pretty well is he hasn't lost. Because if you remember when Ron Hextall was the general manager, the Flyers would make the playoffs one year, miss the playoffs one year.
Right.
Make the playoffs the next year, miss the playoffs the year after that. Danny realizes we can't have that. We can't have one good year. One off. Maybe you're in, maybe you're out. You don't get towards a cup that way. You stay on the bubble that way. I think that the big picture is you want to build a contender that's going to stay a contender for a number of years, and that still is going to need some work.
Yeah. Hey, look, I think we all can agree, as the future looks bright in Philadelphia. Hopefully they continue to collect assets and maybe even package a few of the assets for possibly a young ascending player. I mean, not the kid you talked about probably isn't a fit with Tortorella, but maybe a guy that's disgruntled somewhere else. Maybe you package a few of those picks and get a guy that's 22, 23 years old, 24 that could go with Tippett and these guys.
Sure, and the Flyers have talent on the wing, so maybe you work a deal around a young winger and bring in a center, and that's something else you do with the development and assets. You're able to make hockey trades to fill one need, from your trading from a position of strength. So they're working towards that.
How far away do you think we're actually from being serious cup contenders?
Well, I think that they still need a number one defenseman and number one center. Those pieces have to click in place first, and then I think you're right there in the discussion. Obviously, the goaltending has to be there too, but I think they're taking steps towards being a team you can pencil into the playoffs most years, and then to take that next step, Michkov has to be what you think he's going to be. You need that top center, you need that top defenseman. If everything works out well, maybe in a couple of years, saying, "Hey, how far could this team go in the playoffs?" I think the potential is there. Again, they're not there yet. It's going to need more work to get where we can say, "Okay, maybe a year from now," kind of deal.
Gotcha. Well, listen, Bill.
Non-Flyers question. Non-Flyer question. Who do you think's better, Connor McDavid, or Austin Matthews? Like, with their season.
Well, Matthews has that. Yeah. I mean, McDavid is the fastest player in hockey, probably the best pure offensive talent in hockey. But when you take a 200-foot player, kind of the impact that Sidney Crosby had for all those years as a complete player, I think Austin Matthews is the most complete player in hockey right now. So if you tell me I have to build around one or build around the other, I would probably pick Matthews. But which player do I enjoy watching more? Who's more entertaining? That's definitely McDavid. He can change a game with the drop of a hat. So,
okay. How do you rate Connor Bedard's rookie season?
Well, he had some injury issues. He had a broken jaw, and no talent around him either in Chicago. So he's had to earn every point. He has no help around him. I think he's going to be a great player. I'm not going to compare him to other names. I think just Bedard as himself is going to be, maybe not a generational player, but a franchise player. And I think he's well on track to be just that.
Nice.
Well, listen, Bill, I really appreciate your time. It's nice to be able to talk some hockey and have it be positive, with all the, like you said, make the playoffs one year, miss the playoffs. It's nice to finally see a direction with this franchise and see us actually building towards something. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. No, for sure. I was just gonna say, being around the team all the time, it's fun to come to the rink too when you're winning and you're in the playoffs. Well, when you're playing out the string and you're looking ahead to the draft this early, it can drag on a little bit. So it's all good right now.
Awesome. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. And where can everybody check you out?
So if you go on to PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, Flyers official website, you'll find stuff from me almost every day. Tomorrow there'll be pregame and then a postgame wrap up from when the Flyers play San Jose. I do that every game. Practice reports, again, today there was one on the prospects in the system. So you go there pretty much every day, and there's something.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Bill, and talk
Thanks a lot,
to you soon, and go Flyers.
Enjoyed it, guys. My pleasure.
Thanks,
All right,
Bill. Have a good night, man.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Hey, what's up? Yeah, that was fun, man.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, yep. So hey, nice, good to talk some hockey. It's good. Like I said, it's good. It's good to have a direction with this team.
Yeah, somebody that knows can break it down and give you the best insight.
It's nice.
So.
The Eagles just got a linebacker on a 1-year deal. Zach Baun.
Who?
Zach Baun. Baun.
He's a name that let me Google him because he's not one of the ones I was thinking of. All right, well anyway,
linebacker Zach Baun plans to sign a 1-year deal with the Eagles. Adam Scheffner.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you know what? Look, we needed a linebacker.
You better know how to play, Howie. You schmuck.
Who the fuck is Zach Baun?
All right.
Never heard of her.
Forget Zach Baun. Yo, as all I know.
We got Saquon Barkley, baby.
There you go. All right. So what's up? All right. So listen, great Flyers talk. Really appreciated Bill's time. It was awesome. Let's get into some football because it is fucking free agent frenzy, baby. There's all kinds of shit going on. You got Saquon Barkley coming to the Philadelphia Eagles. Bryce Huff, I'll tell you what. I watch a good amount of Jets, and that kid can really get after the quarterback.
He's got a motor, man. He's a 3-down player, So I mean, he just has a motor on him. He's going to fit that 3-4 scheme. And Howie has a lot of players to insert, not plug and play. Like who's going to be the odd man out, Sweat or Reddick? I'm hoping it's Sweat. You just can't let a dude get traded, Reddick, with 4 consecutive double-digit sacks.
Okay.
And that's just my point of view.
So,
and I don't want to see him like rumors are having him going to the Cowboys, and everybody how they'll feel if he goes to the Cowboys. So
all right, so let me break down this Zach Baun. Okay. Now, signing him appears he's more of an edge rusher. It says here Eagles have signed former Saints 3rd-round pick outside linebacker Zach Baun. Played a career-high 303 snaps this past season, largely along the defensive line as a pass rusher. Finished last season with 2 sacks and interception. I'll tell you what this tells me.
Are you going to let Reddick and Sweat both go?
Well,
no.
I don't know, man. That tells me you're going to take an other D end when you got Smith. Now you got Bryce Hall. You can only feed so many.
See,
Huff
is
go ahead, Joey. I'll talk after you.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was saying we were talking on the chat the other day that I think Vic Fangio likes to run a 34, and I think this is telling me that he's going to go in full-blown 34. Like if you look at the kid Huff, he's more of a pass rushing linebacker, right? So Huff's
exactly.
more of a pass rushing linebacker.
Yes.
This kid from the Saints is a pass rusher. Another under the radar signing they had was the kid from Detroit. He's kind of like a 3-4 outside linebacker as well. And you have Nolan Smith. So honestly, I think there's a real good bet Josh Sweat gets traded because Josh Sweat is pretty much strictly a 4-3 end. So if Josh Sweat probably gets you like maybe a 3rd-round pick, right?
Now they were saying 1st round, Joey. Like
No
way.
They were saying
maybe a 2nd.
Okay, but
yeah, here's the thing though. When you sign a guy like Huff, aren't you kind of telegraphing? Like if you're another team, like I know edge rushers have value, but if you're another team, you're not gonna. Are you really going to give up a 1st-round pick for Josh Sweat? Because you're going to kind of be like, well, Philly's definitely trying to get rid of this guy. We're not giving you a pick.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I agree, Jeff.
You know what I mean?
But just like Tim said, we do need a true linebacker. Back to that comment. I mean, I couldn't agree more. You know, like I said earlier to you guys, I hope a guy like Patrick Queen will come here, but most likely probably not because of the money. And that Van Ginkel guy that we liked, he went to Minnesota.
Yeah, he went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Minnesota signed 2 edge rushers. They signed
yes,
the kid.
they did. No, linebackers.
Houston and Van Ginkel.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I know Howie's not dumb, but I just want to get players, not the plug-in like the Band-Aid players like we had, the Zach Cunninghams, the Morrows. Like I want, like we said, a damn good 3-4 defense. You know, hopefully Burntberry's gone. You know, and little play Slay. I mean, I'm just tired of him. Like I love to give a chance to, like how me and Diego and you were saying, Keely Ringo, you know, Joe and Rick, but we're not the coaches, so who the hell knows?
Yeah, well, you know, one thing we have to keep in perspective. I mean, we're only 6 hours. We're only 6 hours into legal tampering. I mean, I know, you know, a lot of times. Look at a lot of these off seasons. I mean, some of the Eagles' best moves come weeks after free agency starts. I mean, I remember
look at J.J. Lamar
right.
Blunt, LeGarrette Blunt. Yeah, absolutely. Chris Long, I believe. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Something's cooking, but it better be good.
Mike Laurel says Patrick Queen time. I'll tell you, I'd love to see it, but I don't see them pay. I think it's more likely they bring in 1 to 2 safeties, and then they bring in a linebacker that's like a mid-tier linebacker. Like I was reading the kid from Tennessee. How do you say his name? Al Sharir.
Al Kaiser or something. I know who you're talking about because he's familiar with the new linebacker coach we have. So, I mean, and they were saying bringing back Jordan Hicks. Nah, dude, he had a busted ass shin. I want new players. Sorry. You know?
Yeah, Michael Kaepernick Jr. says he likes the Barkley signing, but he would have went all defense. That is where their needs are. I mean, I still think they're going to get defense. I mean, don't you know?
I know what he's saying. He wanted to get like probably lights out, back-to-back defensive guys. You know, hopefully Howie's cooking and he knows something that we don't know. But
well, they were in the running for Xavier McKinney. I mean, I mean, at least that's what the rumor. I mean, you know, apparently it was them in Green Bay, and you know, Green Bay went up to $17 million a year. I mean, as good as McKinney is, $17 million is a lot of money to pay a safety. I mean, to me, you know, I'd almost rather bring in a C.J. Gardner-Johnson or a Justin Simmons. Like, you know, maybe you bring in Justin Simmons on like a 2 or 3 year deal. You know,
we definitely need a safety. We definitely need another linebacker. I do think that they're putting most of their chips into Nakobe Dean though.
That scares me.
Me too.
Right. Undersized. He's a special teams guy. He's not the guy that we thought he was. So, time to move on.
I agree, but as where we took him, and for the reason we took him, he hasn't even had the. I don't think he's a starter in the NFL either. But the Eagles can justify it by saying, well, he hasn't had the chance really yet.
Yeah. Well, don't get hurt.
That's true.
I think
Eagles. I think Eagles. We also don't know what their draft board looks like. What if they have 2 linebackers at the top of their draft board?
But they ain't going to be the ones that I always say. He's going to get the total opposite. He'll get some dude from Holy Cross, or you know, he ain't going to get your Peyton Wilson, your Edgerrin Cooper, or your Trotter.
Hey! He wasn't going to pay a running back either, and he paid him over $12 million. So don't ever put nothing past Howie.
Wow. Hey, let me get to this comment real quick, and then I got my buddy texted me. Giants just made a big move. John Michael says Barkley signing reminds me of Harper stealing a stealing a star from a division rival down the road, and their fans are pissed.
Yeah,
got another comment here. Paul Spencer says, "Must be nice to sign someone. We can't even pay our rookie players this year. Now losing our center, left tackle, running back, Ricky Doodle, and Deuce Vaughn. That's a huge 1-2 punch. LOL." Yeah, but Paul, I mean, like we were saying though, it's
well,
it's
dude, you paid Dak all that money.
Yeah.
What's that?
Look at
All that
Davy
money
Jones.
goes to Dak.
Michael Kaepernick Jr. says the Eagles still have Nolan Smith. What are they going to do with him? I think he gets a lot
Give
of
him more
playing time
reps
this year. And here's a big one: the New York Giants traded with Carolina. The Giants signed Brian Burns, 5 years, $150 million.
Oh, that's big.
That's big, but
That's big.
Watch him shit the bed.
That guy blows games up.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll tell you what,
they
got Thibodeau too, but I'm not going to panic about the Giants until they get a quarterback.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, for sure. That makes our team better, but they ain't got no QB, so I ain't worried about that.
Danny Nichols ain't shit.
What they draft like Jaden Daniels or something now?
What's this?
Can they get the dude Daniels?
Jalen Daniels from LSU, Drake May from UNC. I mean, it's a possibility.
Those guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
I see them going to wide out or no lineman because they signed Runyon Jr. and possibly a no lineman or a wide receiver. I say now, but enough of talk about them.
Carolina trades a second and a fifth round pick for Burns. I mean, I'm sorry. The Giants trade a second and a fifth round pick for Burns.
Another big signing today. Atlanta got Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you,
that makes that offense scary good.
I'll tell you what. Does Kirk Cousins have what is it? Who? Damn, Ari Gold from Entourage. Is that his agent, dude? I think Kirk Cousins got fucking Vince Chase's agent, bro.
Dude, Kirk Cousins, what do you make, like $250 million in his career guaranteed so far?
He's got to be like the greatest agent in the history of mankind, man. If I'm a football player, I'm like, who's Kirk Cousins' agent? That's who I'm signing with. Because, dude, I ain't never seen anybody get paid more than Kirk Cousins.
2 teams paid him.
Yeah, they did. Just like my brother said, they need to pay Reddick.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. He says, that's your brother, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Brian? How you doing, bro? Yeah, I agree. They do need to pay Reddick, but I got a feeling they're going to trade him though.
Yeah, but what else is new? Because how he got talked about the front office. The dude told it like it is, and a lot of people don't like that shit. Well, oh well, but that's today's age. If you do that, you're as good as gone.
Paul Spencer said, "Screw Dak, that bomb."
Huh.
Yeah.
Michael Kaepernick Jr. says Kirk Cousins is stealing money. Hey, he's made a lot of money. Let me tell you.
Did he make a lot of money in his career? Yeah, but I don't feel like you can name more than 11 quarterbacks better than Kirk Cousins for the last 5 years.
No, he's been. You could say what you want about Kirk Cousins, but he's been a top tier quarterback. He's not top 10, but I mean, he's
reliable. He's a damn good, reliable quarterback.
He's around that. He's always around. Like if you look at his statistics, they're always around in like the top 10, around the 10, 11, 12 mark in the league. That's not four-time Pro Bowler. He throws over 4,000 yards every year. He's going to Atlanta that has a lot of explosive players to put around him. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. That team gets scary dangerous right away. You see how good TJ Hawkins, like Kyle Pitts can have a serious resurgence with Kirk Cousins. You can finally see who Kyle Pitts really is.
Yeah. Hey, can I tell you all, when I think of money, I think of this guy right here. All right. If you get, my man Jason Fine, aka Attorney Big Al. Let me tell you guys something. Yo, Sean, remember that movie? What was that movie? What was that movie where the guy fell what was it? I'm gonna get you, sucker. Where he's like he slipped and fell in the store, and he's like, I should sue you for $100 million, but we'll settle it right now for this 40 ounce. All right. Well, anyway, if you get hurt at work or something, all right, make sure you call my man Jason Fine, aka Attorney Big Al. Motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workers' compensation, or like I just said, personal injury. Yeah, don't be like that guy. Don't settle for the 40 ounce. Make sure you get yourself some paper. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, any coffee drinkers out there, I know, we're talking about making acquisitions. Well, we look at the Carolina Panthers trading a guy like Brian Burns. Your team really cops. You guys suck. All right. But if you're trying to watch that shit, drink some Monkey's Cold Coffee. Maybe it'll help you stay up. You could use the promo code OOTBS Sports at monkeycoldcoffee.com. And they have the newest flavor, honey agave. So make sure you call them up. They got some really good coffee. So, but anyway, yeah, getting back to guys getting paid, man. I mean, there's all kinds of guys getting paper,
So what do you guys really think Saquon Barkley does for our team?
You better run. Unlike what we did with DeAndre Swift. I mean, you have to. You pay him that much money, you have to let him run that ball. I think Howie wanted to go out, like I said earlier, Diego, to San Fran got CMC. So Howie's like, I got to get that top-notch running back. Let me get Saquon. And sure enough, he did. And hopefully he implements his running style and everything else. And I think he'll do pretty well in Kellen Moore's system. So
I think Saquon does a lot more for this team though than just run the ball. I think he's a way better. Everyone that was calling to get we should just bring back DeAndre Swift over Saquon Barkley. DeAndre Swift couldn't block me coming on a blitz. He couldn't pick anybody up in that backfield. There's a reason that he couldn't be on the field all 3 downs. Because when you look at his production, when you give him the rock, you look at him and go, he should be on the field every single down. Well, when the play's designed for him to block, he sucked. Jalen Hurts running for his life most of the time because you didn't have that extra blocker in the backfield. And I don't feel like people realize how big of an impact that has on your QB.
Yeah, I mean, here's a comment right here. Chris Rapizzi says, open up, and I agree with this, open up's run-pass options so much better. And the other thing is, Saquon, you got Jalen Hurts can squat like crazy. Saquon, I mean, dude, even the tush push is even going to get that much better. You got 2 guys when you get down to that goal line that could just overpower people. You know
100%. Yeah, I think Saquon does a lot more than DeAndre Swift did for this team. Like DeAndre Swift was a good running back. I feel like he didn't make us much better of an offense. Because, like, if you look at Miles Sanders the year before, he was arguably just as good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel like it's what running back you bring in here and you give him the ball, he's going to be successful because we have a good offensive line and we have so many weapons. Bringing Saquon into your lineup takes your offense to that next level, I think. That, like, Swift didn't take you to.
Yeah, I agree. Brian says he's going to play with a big chip on his shoulder. G-Men didn't even make him an offer. Hang on. I got another comment I wanted to get to up here. Here we go. Oh, here's one. Bill Furman has a question probably for Paul. This is driving Paul Spencer crazy. Does Dallas know that free agency started? No,
probably
they're just
not.
losing, guys. Chris Rapizzi says, is Boston Scott coming back? And then I got my man Mike Lauro says CJ Gardner-Johnson looks like he's going to be an Eagle. Well, let's hope so.
I would love to bring CJ back.
Got another one here. John Michael says Jalen better come to play this year. No excuses. He's got all the weapons. Hey, let's keep it real here. There is no excuse, and these weapons are unbelievable. I mean, there's no excuse for this football team not to put up at least 28 to 30 points a week.
Yeah.
Paul Spencer with a comment here. Bill, when you have food stamp money, what can you do? Food prices are insane.
Yeah, Dallas don't got a lot of money to spend. You know what I mean?
Mike Lauro says, "LOL, Paul." And then let me just get a couple. I got a couple more here that I wanted to say here. Mike Lauro also said, "Gus, what do you guys think? Because here, this kind of impacts Dallas because right now, I think it's kind of rumor is it's between Dallas and Baltimore
Ravens.
for Derrick Henry, and based off of Baltimore right here, Gus Edwards followed as the offensive coordinator from Baltimore that used to be in Baltimore.
Greg Roman.
To the Chargers. So you got Gus Edwards to the Chargers. Here's another interesting one. Gardner Minshew to Vegas.
2 years, $25 million.
Yeah, I still think that the Raiders could possibly be in play for Justin Fields. It wouldn't shock me.
Nah, let's be real. Gardner Minshew's a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what he is. The Raiders bring him in for insurance. If we can't get the quarterback that we really want here, then this is a serviceable guy we can put in for this year. As he showed with the Colts, he finds a way to win games. You know what I mean? But that can't be the guy you're looking for to be like your quarterback. You know?
Yeah, John Michael with a comment. He says Brian Johnson must be so mad. The screens he could have run with Barkley. I don't know. He only likes running screens to Devontae Smith.
And
like, hey,
AJ
I got
Brown.
an idea. Let's run a screen to a guy that's like 170 pounds.
Yeah, let him get blasted, but that's okay.
Not even that, though. Your wide receivers are supposed to be out on these screens to block. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to drag an offensive lineman to the outside every single time, it's a slow-ass developing play.
That's what sets you up to get blasted.
That's what I'm saying. So, he was running screenplays, but I feel like not the right fucking way.
He was running to have Devontae get blasted.
Fucking Jesus Christ. I don't know. Listen, Kellen Moore's a good with these weapons, as we've seen before, Kellen Moore is a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And Tony Pollard had his best years with Dallas with Kellen Moore.
Yeah, now he's going to Tennessee. So
and he wasn't great last year. So I think Kellen Moore is a huge addition to be our offensive coordinator with the players that we have for him to work with.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing motion, guys, like in the offense.
Yeah,
we didn't even run that shit.
That's what I mean. How do you want Jalen? How do you want Jalen to read a defense and see where these players are going if you're not moving anybody around?
Like San Fran ran motion perfectly. Even Ravens, all the top teams, basically.
The Miami Dolphins ran a great, really good motion.
Yeah.
Moving Waddle, moving Tyreek Hill. They seen where everybody was switching before the play came up.
You don't know where it's going, kind of. It's
well, the only player that knows where it's going before the play, because Tua knows where the ball's going before the play. Do I got to match up with Tyreek Hill, or do I got to match up with Jalen Waddle? And that's what all that movement did.
Yeah.
How about
Chris is right with this signing too.
Yeah.
He did get paid.
Yeah, highest paid guard in the NFL, and the good thing about it is too, it didn't cost us any cap space this year because the way Howie does the contract. Excuse me. I think a lot of his money's in future years, and if you think about it, with the way the NFL salary cap keeps going up, that's a smart way to do it because the ratings are through the roof. So if the cap
absolutely.
That's one of the reasons why, I was hearing people bitch about, you don't pay a running back. And, maybe years past, I would agree with that. But the cap went up like crazy. So, that's why I'm fully in support of the Eagles taking a chance on a guy like Saquon Barkley because, $12 million this year is equivalent to maybe $7 million 2-3 years ago. You know what I mean? As far as percentage of cap,
Yeah, true.
So why not? We got Paul Spencer here. He says Dallas can't sign unless they back end Dak's contract or Diggs' contract. They still owe Gallup $12 million, and they just granted him permission to trade. Yeah, I think your odds of trading Gallup are about the same as the Eagles trade in Bradbury.
Yeah, I
No,
was gonna
I don't
say
think that's happening.
we're stuck with them guys. No one's taking them dudes.
Yeah,
Not for that price.
yeah, that would be like Paul. Me and Paul used to have a joke because they had a guy. I think it was Anthony Toast Brown, or there was a guy I called the Castaway on his team. I think it was Brown. Yeah, that would be like him trying to trade the Castaway.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's another comment. Chris Rapizzi, Barkley under or over 8 touchdowns?
Over.
Under. Jalen takes all his touchdowns.
Yeah, but do you think though
I'm going to go over.
You know what? I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go over too, in the simple fact that I'm hoping the offense is more explosive. So maybe Jalen will Debo some of them touchdowns, but by the same token, they didn't sign Barkley $12 million a year to have him never score. So I think he gets.
He's running behind a hell of a O line. That's the thing too. That makes it even better. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, here was the guy's name, Kelvin Joseph. That's the Castaway.
Okay.
Sean Brian says, "Let's go get Tyler Boyd." I'll tell you what, I would like
perfect slot.
I would like Tyler Boyd.
That's a perfect slot guy. Me and my brother were talking about this over the weekend.
And he's a vet.
With you, Joe. Yeah, you don't have to weed him through the offense. He's a veteran. He's a perfect slot player. And you know what kind of shocked me? I think I sent it to our group. How about T. Higgins? He doesn't like his franchise tag contract. He wants to be traded now.
I'll tell you what. I think T. Higgins. I think people think T. Higgins is a little better than he is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think
he's reliable. He's not the best.
No, dude.
I think T. Higgins is number 1 on the team now.
See, you know what I think?
Jamar Chase.
You know what I think?
No, I'm not saying he's number 1 on
another
the Bengals.
team.
I'm saying if he gets a trade, I think it's a team that brings him to be their number 1 wide receiver. Like, for example, the Packers. He goes to like the Packers. The Packers could use a guy like T. Higgins to be our number 1 wide receiver.
See, you know what I think T. Higgins is? Years ago, Dallas and if Paul's listening, he would know this very well. Years ago, Dallas had Michael Irvin and they had Alvin Harper. And Alvin Harper was a great number 2 receiver. He signed as a number 1 receiver. He wasn't a number 1 receiver. Like, I think T. Higgins is a very good receiver, but I think if you pay him to be your number 1 guy, I think you're going to be disappointed. I don't think he's a number 1 guy. I think he's a really good number 2.
I'd say he's number 1 guy.
On the head. You hit that right on the head with Alvin Harper and all. Yeah.
But think about it. Chase got hurt. That's when T. Higgins started stepping up this year. That's when T. Higgins was their best wide receiver.
I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I like him, but to me, I wouldn't. If I'm running a team, I don't think I'd invest the draft capital and all that money in the T. Higgins. I think he's good, but I wouldn't do that. I think I'd go in another direction. That's just me. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but I just don't think I don't think I'd want him to be my number 1 guy.
I didn't say I want him to be my number 1 guy. I just think if you look at 32 teams, T. Higgins a top 32 wide receiver.
Yeah, I'll tell you a place that'd be great for T. Higgins would be the Jets. If the Jets somehow
that'd be a great pick for the Jets because he would be the number 2.
Right, because you have Aaron Rodgers coming, you'd have Garrett Wilson on one side, T. Higgins on the other, and then
Gabe Davis.
He didn't.
Yes, he did. He signed.
No, I thought he went to Jacksonville. Gabe Davis.
No, Gabe Davis is a Jet.
He did. I could have swore I
saw. Are you sure?
No. Yeah,
I thought I saw Jacksonville.
I thought I saw Jacksonville too, Joe.
Here, hang on. I'll Google it real quick.
Google me.
It doesn't matter. Either way, he would be good on the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, he signed with Jacksonville, Sean. Jaguars signed ex-Bills Gabe Davis, 3 years, $39 million.
That's it. I'm off. I'm leaving. Yeah, wow. 3-year, $50 million. I guess they're getting rid of Ridley.
Yeah, now that's an interesting name. I mean, I don't. It doesn't make sense for the Eagles because the Eagles already have so much invested in wide receiver. But I know the Eagles really did like Ridley a couple years ago, and Ridley could play the slot. But I don't see that. He's going to be too much money for a slot guy. You know what I mean?
Is he going to be too much money though? What's his projected money? Because he didn't have that great of a year.
I still think somebody's going to pay him. You know who I like? I'll tell you. I mean, Tyler Boyd. I'm kind of intrigued by Marquise Brown. If the
I would like Marquise Brown so he can stretch that field.
Right, because he gives you the speed element too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hang on, we got a comment here. Breaking news: Austin Eckler to the Commanders.
Damn.
Because they lost Antonio Gibson to the Patriots.
Well, that's a crazy 1-2 punch.
Good.
Let's do Brian Johnson. Is that his name?
Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
That's a 1-2 punch and a half. Yeah, we're happy to have
nice.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think the Commanders are ready to win yet, but they're doing some really nice
They're
things.
moving
today.
and grooving.
They signed Armstrong from Dallas, who's actually a very effective pass rusher. I mean, he doesn't get the pub that other guys get, but I think he's had like 8 sacks each of the last 2 seasons, and he plays under Dan Quinn's defense, so he's going to be a loss for Dallas. They also signed the linebacker Luvalu. How do you say his name? Luvalu, the kid from Carolina, the linebacker Luvalu. I think you say his name. Luver. I'm bad with names, dude, but I could see him. The kid
Okay,
from Carolina, outside linebacker.
Just say Carolina's linebacker. Don't put
Yeah. How do you say his name? It's a LULV or some shit. I don't know, but whatever. He was a good signing. You know what I mean? And they're probably going to sign. There's a D-back from Dallas that they were looking at.
They got the center too, Joey, from Dallas. Tyler, but Daz.
Yeah. They're raiding the they're raiding the Cowboys. I mean, apparently like Paul said, the Cowboys are some broke ass motherfuckers right now. They need to spend some money. You know?
Yes, sir.
But Paul, don't fret though, because you have plenty of time. It's only day one. I mean, Dallas still has plenty of time to sign guys. You know, that's always the caution when it comes to free agency. Like how many years, guys, have we looked and been like, man, the Eagles ain't doing shit. Like a perfect example, 2 years ago,
Charles Gardner-Johnson. Didn't we sign him late?
Yeah. 2 years ago, the Eagles didn't really do dick cheese the first couple days of free agency. I think it was like a couple days later they signed Hassan Reddick. Then draft night they traded for A.J. Brown. They got C.J. Gardner-Johnson like right before the season.
Yeah, before the season.
Like, they signed Bradbury in training camp. You know what I'm saying? So
mistake.
And then like you brought up earlier, the Super Bowl year. I mean, LeGarrette Blount was like around training camp. You know what I mean? It was like summertime. So, there's moves to be. You know what? I'll tell you a move. If I'm Dallas now, if they could find a way to make the money work, I think Aaron Jones would make a lot of sense for the Cowboys, dude.
Yeah.
But Aaron Jones, I think Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I think he is going to go there because he's from Dallas and he's always loved Dallas growing up.
Yeah.
So
that would make a lot of sense. He's a beast.
Yeah, and he usually makes Dallas his bitch when they play him, so they won't have to play him anymore. You know, he's like the Cowboys killer. That dude.
He is.
You know,
former Chargers Austin Eckler plans to sign a 2-year deal with the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I think the Commanders are having a really good day, and they.
Yes.
I mean, they should. They got $90 million to spend.
Honestly, the division's having a good day. Commanders, Giants, and the Eagles having a great day.
Yeah, because I know
the Giants or Giants.
Yeah, the Giants having a good day. But you know what? All kidding aside, I mean, I know they lost Saquon, but I kind of think Devin Singletary's a nice little back. I don't think Devin Singletary's terrible.
He was always serviceable in Buffalo Bills,
Texans, and Houston, Texans last year.
Yeah, he took a lot of carries away from Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
who his rookie season was phenomenal, and then he got the injury bug, I think, in training camp and all that shit. So that kind of hindered him, and they signed Devin Henderson. The rest is history.
Right.
No,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, two. I'm looking at it right here. Commanders 2-year deal, 11.43 million. That's not a lot. And you figure
nah,
they're
it's
gonna,
chump change.
Damn, Austin
they're
Eckler was that cheap?
yeah,
Hey.
worth up to 11.43 million. And they're going to get a rookie quarterback. So whoever the rookie quarterback is, I mean, he's going to be a safety valve for him. So between him and Brian Robinson, and then. And look at the weapons they have. They have McLaurin, and they have who's the other
Dotson.
Yeah,
John Dotson from Penn State
Penn
and
State.
Scary Terry McLaurin.
McLaurin.
Let me ask you this: do you squash the quarterback, Marvin Harrison Jr.? That
to Washington?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it.
Yeah, but if you get a wide receiver and don't have a quarterback and throwing the ball, then what's the use?
Sam Howell. I mean, Sam Howell gets a bad rep, but he was pretty solid. But everybody wants that name. But
I think it's going to be a dude, Matty.
Another Carolina quarterback, because Sam Howell was a North Carolina quarterback.
I think.
Yeah, you know what, dude? Like you said, you never know. You never know.
I think when push
you should
comes
never have
to
too
shove,
many quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think when push comes to shove, they wind up falling in love with the kid from LSU. I think the kid from LSU,
Jalen Daniels. Yeah, I like the Heisman Trophy winner. Yeah, he's pretty solid, man. He really is.
To your point about Sam Howell too. I mean, they're at one. I mean, I'm not a stat guy. I'm more of an eye test because especially with passing stats. Because let's keep it real. I mean, your team could be getting their ass kicked, and you throw for a shit ton of yards, and then you could look and be like, oh, but this guy's like second in the league in passing, and it's like, well, no fucking shit, they're losing 30-3 every game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's a little misleading. But see, all that said, though, Sam Howell at one point was like first or second in the league in passing yards.
Yeah,
Sam Howell's all right, but let's be real. Like you said, the eye test. The eye test tells you Sam Howell's not good enough to win a Super Bowl in this league.
I think I agree, but you know what's funny though? The 2 games he played the Eagles, he looked like freaking Pat Mahomes.
He whooped our ass. Yeah, he whooped our ass.
I mean, like, what the hell?
He was air raiding that damn ball, dude. He was. Yeah.
So I don't know. Hey, like we said, it's start free agency. Lot more to go. Like next week we'll have a lot more to get into. There'll actually be official signings. I mean, who knows? By this time next week, Josh Sweat could possibly be traded. Reddick could be traded, maybe re-signed. Hopefully the Eagles have a safety or two. Before we get out of here, how about a couple predictions? All right. So, what safety do the Eagles sign by this time next week, or do they wait out the market? What do you think?
I think they wait out the market on safety.
Okay.
They wait out the market and they see what guy they thought would have probably got some money, and that guy always falls. That they don't get the money they want, and they kind of linger around because all the teams looking for safeties got their safeties early in free agency. So I think we get that kind of guy.
I see, to your point, Joey, either Justin Simmons or Xavier Howard.
Oh, you think maybe they get a corner?
Possibly.
All right, that'd be interesting.
Simmons is your safety. And probably Howard as well. Somebody to fit in from Fangio's system. That's just a guess, but you never know. I mean,
right. So
What do you think, Joe?
I think they signed the linebacker from Tennessee, the guy.
Al-Qaeda.
The Al-Qaeda dude.
Al-Qaeda.
I don't know. I can't say his name.
It's not Al-Qaeda. It's
I just said that because I thought Sean called him Al Qaeda earlier in the episode.
My cousin said you're saying Al Qaeda.
right,
That's what I said. I thought you called him Al-Qaeda.
Oh,
I mean, that's I don't know. I can't
the
say his
Tennessee
name.
linebacker, you see.
I'm
I
going to
got
Google
you.
him right now. Hold up.
The dude
All
from the
right.
Titans.
Oh, yeah.
His name is
Now, go ahead.
all right.
Break it down. Break it down.
Aziz Al Shahir.
There you
Say
go.
it quick.
Aziz
Say
Al
it quick.
All right. Sorry, that's hard for me to say. All right. No disrespect. I mean, he's a great player. I want to sign him on my team. So I hope we sign him. And I think we will.
What's his name again?
Aziz Al Shahir.
I'm playing, bro.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. The opposing team's going to know when he's whooping their ass. He brings the
What I'm
thunder.
talking about, Joe.
He's dropping bombs, Joe. Get that right.
All right.
And who else?
All right. So I think we signed him at linebacker, and then I'm going to say I think since we missed out on McKinney, it's either going to be C.J. Gardner-Johnson or Justin Simmons. I'm going to say Justin Simmons comes here. And possibly maybe Jeremy Chin, because the Eagles like Jeremy Chin coming out of the draft. The only problem with Jeremy Chin is that he's not the greatest in coverage, but a lot of people like him as kind of like a rover type player, where maybe
like a center field guy. Yeah.
Well, not that, but like in say like nickel situations, he could kind of almost be like a linebacker, like kind of like a heat sinking nickel. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so maybe,
absolutely. And he
maybe
can hit.
Fangio, uses him as kind of like a chess piece out there. Try to maybe blitz a little bit or, attack the run. I mean, because one thing we got to keep in perspective. I mean, I know. What's his name? Jonathan Gannon, and also the guy from last year, the D coordinator from last year. Why am I drawing a blank? What was his name, dude? I can't believe I can't say.
Desai.
There you go, Desai. So those guys were Bobo Vic Fangio disciples.
Yeah.
Right? Now we got the real deal, and he's going to run the 34, and we're going to see different things. You might even see, different packages and all that stuff. So that's what I'm saying. I think that's going to happen.
Nice.
I hope they sign another linebacker before we go, since we're talking about that topic. I'm just like a well-reputable name, but like you said, it's still early. And, I just hope Howie knows what he's doing. And that's about it. So
yeah. Oh, never mind.
There you
Justin
go.
Simmons is a Steeler 3 years. Well, shit. Well, there goes that for it.
Okay.
Charles Gardner-Johnson, then, Joe.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Here we go.
Okay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And how about a little bit of Buda Baker? A shocker.
Well, we'd have to trade for him.
Yeah, you never know. Josh Sweat?
What about maybe a player for player trade? I would do that. What if you could trade like a Josh Sweat for a Buda Baker?
Yeah, I would do that.
Shit, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I could see, player for player.
I mean,
yeah.
The last player for player trade that I really remember the Eagles doing off the top of my head is the LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Wow.
I mean, you don't see many player for player trades anymore.
True.
Damn. Well, there goes my prediction.
Dude.
Right,
how about all that talk of them coming here and following Russell Wilson to Steel Town?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Hey, he got that paper, man. So hopefully Howie gets a safety, and so we'll see what happens. But all right, guys. Well, look, I'm gonna get ready to wrap up here, and
man.
So go Birds. Paul, love you, bro. I would say good luck to your Cowboys, but sorry, can't do it. I'm hoping y'all stay broke. Hang on, we got a comment here. Let's see. Oh, here's the one here. Paul Spencer, 3 years, $44 million on Justin Simmons.
Okay.
Well, you know what's funny though? I'm breaking Paul's balls a little bit, but in reality, him and I still have to do that Dallas, that old school Dallas. So for any Cowboys fans like him, we're we're gonna do an old school Cowboys '90s old school, and you guys can relive the past. So that's what we'll do.
Nice.
But as far as the present goes, we're hoping the Eagles sign a bunch of guys. So
Yep.
Absolutely.
So all right, well listen, good. Go Birds. Go
Birds.
Flyers. And I didn't get in. No time really for the Sixers tonight. Although thank God they had an ugly win last night. Because I'll tell you, Sixers have been unwatchable. But last night they eked out a win, which was big in New York. They set basketball back about 50 years. I think it was like 79, 73. I thought I was back in the 90s, you know. Although I love the 90s basketball, but last night wasn't 90s basketball. It was more shitty play.
Right.
So,
all right, guys.
Absolutely.
All right. See you all. Have a great week. Go Birds, go Flyers, go Sixers.
Let's go.